Well, John, it's been a while.
Yes.
About 20 years ago, I think, that I met you here.
Almost 20 years.
Almost
yes.
20 years
yeah.
ago. And you had a crazy rod then that caught my eye. Well,
Yeah, it was a 1929 Ford Roadster called El Tiki.
Yeah.
It was like a Barris 60s custom.
what was cool then was later on that same day in the show, I found another car that I really dug. Mm-hmm. And it turned out to be your son's.
Yeah.
So that's where I met Dustin. So I've known you guys for a couple decades now. And you're back. You're both back.
Yep.
You've probably been coming to this forever.
Be our 26th year this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this time you brought something a little bit seemingly atypical for you.
Yeah.
You got this beautiful 32 Studi.
The model is called a President.
Uh-huh.
They made 30 of them in 1932.
That's it?
That is it.
Wow.
The cars were so expensive, they built them to order, and there were 30 people that stepped up to the plate to want to buy them.
But this is also a really special car. It's not purist Studebaker. This thing's a hot rod.
Yes.
But it's also a very special hot rod. This was a Norm Grabowski
Yes.
car, right?
Yes, for those that don't know Norm, he was basically considered the father of the T-Bucket.
Uh-huh.
If you remember 77 Sunset Strip and
Yeah.
Kooky, the T-Bucket in that was Norm Grabowski's car. He found this Studebaker in 1974. It was all stock car out of Michigan. It was black. He built the car then. When it was built in an era when we didn't have all the street rod suppliers that we have today.
Yeah, parts catalogs.
Parts
you had
catalogs.
to make everything.
And you had to resource it out of a junkyard.
Yeah.
And so this car was basically built out of junkyard parts.
But he built it looking in its stately self. Is that right?
Yes, back then, you recall, Dennis, in the early 1970s, a resto rod was very popular.
Yes.
Everybody wanted it to look stone stock on the outside, but have a late model drivetrain. So this has a 383 Chrysler engine, 727 transmission, a 1962 Pontiac Grand Prix rear end. It's got hang-on air conditioning because they didn't have vintage air and the luxury of an
You would
aftermarket.
never know that to look at this.
Right.
I
When
mean,
the
this
hood's
thing-
down, she looks pretty stock.
Because I saw you queued up this morning. I didn't realize it was you. I saw you because you went up the hill at least once already, right? I thought, well, that's a pretty fancy car to be taking up the hill. And lo and behold, it's a hot rod. These headlights, I think, are the first thing I noticed about this car, though. Are these stock?
They're stock. They made them in 1932 and 1933 only.
God, they're huge. And,
Yes,
and
they
the
are.
shape of them is so interesting.
The whole car visually looks like it would have looked when it rolled off the assembly line in 1932.
Same with the fender markers, too?
Same with the fender markers. Wheels are the optional 18-inch Kelsey Hayes wire wheels with a Lester 750 by 18 tire.
Which are just, I mean, that tire's got to be 3 feet tall.
Oh, they're ginormous.
So even the interior, I mean, you've got, you redone the seats and you got Studebaker stitched into it, but that's pretty much a 32 Studi dash?
Yes, it
no?
is, yes.
And that is a famous Grabowski piece.
Yes, Norm was quite the woodworker. That was his hobby.
So that's a wooden piece? Is that?
Yes,
I didn't
it's
know he
all
made them out of.
hand-carved wood.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And his signature, you look, it's got the 23 caliber gun shell sticking through the top.
Yeah, okay.
Made 203 of them.
Oh, so I bet that's a bit of a pricey piece.
Yeah, and that's number 197.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. But they're sought after. And you got some flying eyeballs. Was that also from the Grabowski period?
Yeah, Norm did all that.
It looks really comfy. And what a massive back seat. Does this have the little flip? Oh yeah, it's got the footrest.
The footrest, yep.
Oh my goodness. Fantastic headlamp.
All the window frames are stock. Everybody thinks the car's chopped. It is not chopped, but it certainly appears to be chopped.
It does actually, it does. But that was just the way it came, eh?
Yeah, kind of has a gangster look to it.
It does have a gangster look. These are cool taillights too. That's not stock, is it?
No, they're a pair of 1937 Ford taillights that are welded together. The whole trunk is a Norm thing. If you look at the centerpiece of the trunk, since Norm Grabowski was Polish, that is the symbol of the Polish flag.
That's their crest. Right?
Yeah, the crest, and also has the same crest in the center of the dash in pinstriping.
Can I open it up?
Sure.
Oh geez, that's... Oh, dig this. What is this, 1979 Rod and Custom?
Yeah. So both of those pictures were from a feature magazine and Rod and Custom in 1979. They're kind of getting old and tattered now, but you can see Norm Grabowski's signature there as well. Down inside the trunk, Norm made a number of these emblems.
Oh,
They
right,
were Norm Grabowski emblems. Car just turned 95,000 miles about 2 weeks ago.
So there's no Trailer Queen.
No, it's been everywhere.
And of course, Norm was such a character.
Oh, he was.
Late model drivetrain. Let's go see what's under the hood.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's no Studi engine.
It's a 1966 model Dodge Coronet 383 with a 727 transmission. It's got the old York air compressor. You can see on the end of the air compressor there's some more of the Von Dutch touches as well.
Flying eyeball, right? Single master cylinder.
So, yeah, it probably needs to be changed.
Living on the edge.
Yeah.
Well, how about the steering setup there?
Yeah, that's a straight out of the junkyard, right off the 65 Impala that the
no kidding.
steering box and all came off of.
If it's got 95,000 on it, it must run pretty well.
It runs good. I was told it had all the service records, and I got to looking, and 1997 the engine was pulled and rebuilt, and in 1999 the transmission was rebuilt. And they just, right before I acquired the car, the rear end had to be rebuilt, so it's back up and in pretty good shape.
Is it pretty much fun to drive, to go down the road real nice?
It's a blast to drive. What's a real blast is pass people on the interstate.
Oh, you're passing them in this.
Yeah.
Well, because I bet it goes.
It goes. It's with a 62 Grand Prix rear end. It's got a 242 gear and these humongous diameter tires. It just idles going down the road.
Flying.
It'll go however fast your courage is on these tires.
No kidding. So how'd this do up the hill?
It's fast.
It's fast.
I'm sure it would set a record if they would let me.
Well, John, this is great. 32 Studebaker President, Norm Grabowski, not Resto Mod, they call him Resto Rod. Resto Rod from the 70s, 74 or so.
Yes.
This is unbelievable. See you in 20 years? What do you say?
Absolutely.
All
I
right,
hope so.
It's a deal.
I hope so.